الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نشكره ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل ولن تجد له وليا مرشدا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على خاتم الأنبياء سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحابته والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I seek refuge in Allah against the accursed shaitan. I begin in the mighty name of Allah, the ever gracious, the ever merciful. All praise is due to Allah, we thank Him. We seek forgiveness of our sins from Him. We put all our trust in Him. We seek Allah's protection against the evils of our hands and our hearts. I bear witness that none deserves to be worshipped except Allah alone, the guardian of the righteous. I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Allah's apostle and servant. I seek Allah's choicest blessings upon him, upon members of his worthy household, his courageous companions, and upon all those who will continue to follow their footsteps till the day of accounting. Thereafter, I extend the best courtesy by saying Allah's peace and blessings abide with us. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Ta'aleem. First, in January, first month of the Gregorian calendar, meaning according to the Gregorian calendar, the solar year is a new one beginning, and it's the third day of the first month of the Gregorian version of the solar calendar. Tonight, inshallah ta'ala, we are going to briefly give scenarios in the life of the Prophet, communication at both ends of middle age, and then we want to see what we can learn from it. The Prophet went through marriage as a young person before middle age at 25, with a marriage with a woman who was already at middle age by the major standards of measuring middle age. Biologically, she was 40. By status, she was an elite, rich businesswoman, experienced, having been widowed twice. So she was conveniently in her middle age. The Prophet was 25, Khadija was 40. The Prophet was working for Khadija. Khadija owned the business. So a 25-year-old young man married a middle-aged woman by our standards. And the woman became a mother and a wife to him. She surrendered everything she had to him. And their marriage lasted more than 10 years. The Prophet was 40 when he became a prophet. That is 15 years after. And the Prophet, if you don't forget, went on Hijrah not quite long after Khadija died. So the Prophet was 53 when he left Makkah. So he married Khadija for more than 20 years. Ibadallah, we will know one thing about the middle-aged woman from the account of Aisha in jealousy with late Khadija. The Prophet ﷺ married Aisha when he was already 54. The Prophet was above 50. He was more than 10 years into middle age when he married Aisha. Aisha was a teenager. I want to bring out 3 facts here. The middle-aged woman plays the role of a mother to the husband. She no longer sees her husband as just a husband. She's no longer equal with the husband. She's above the husband. She thinks for him. She plans for him. She offers everything to him. She babies him. She begins to call him genuinely baby in her heart. An emotional one, a loquacious one may call him baby later. But above 50, a woman does not call her husband by name anymore. She is reluctant to call him by name, but inside her heart, she treats him like his baby. That is the way women are wired and natured and nurtured. Number 2, the middle-aged man is tired of a woman that babies him if she does not provide economic, social, and psychological support. If she has to be a burden, if she would demand attention, if she would demand care, that woman is not going to receive any attention from a middle-aged man. In other words, a middle-aged woman does not get attention from a middle-aged man. At this point, the middle-aged man is looking for a younger woman. May the Prophet go through this to prove it. We see a case study in Sauda, the wife of the Prophet, in Surah An-Nisa, suing for sulh. When the Prophet ﷺ married Aisha and moved away from Sauda, another old woman. Sauda wasn't rich, and Sauda wasn't his first love. And Sauda was not married for love. Sauda was married as an intervention between secondary bachelorhood and marriage with Aisha. Sauda filled the gap. Then the Prophet was a middle-aged man married to another middle-aged woman who was probably also older. She was not rich like Khadija, and she could not understand what he stood to gain from her. Immediately, he tasted a virgin. The narrative changed, his psychology changed, and the middle-aged woman, the old woman, was sensible. She preferred the relationship to intimacy. She preferred the honor of being the prophet's wife and seeking her right. That is how a sensible middle-aged woman manages a recalcitrant, deserting husband. What did she do? She approached the prophet and offered her rights to Aisha, and she had peace. She knew the prophet was going to divorce her. So she did not ask for any rights. But this is not the way a middle-aged woman is generally wired. They want to ask a question. What does the man want? A middle-aged woman that was first wife, we ask that question. What does he want? She can never agree that she is spent. The man will never realize that she is still there. She is no longer there. According to the man, the old woman is no longer there, especially if he succeeds in marrying a second wife. The mistake most people make is to marry a divorcee or a widow. When you marry a middle-aged woman along with another middle-aged woman, you must have the wisdom of Solomon not to lose either of them. Sometimes both, because they will both want assistance. If it's a widow or a divorcee, she has experience, which your wife does not have. So if your wife is smarter, she will send her away. If she's smarter, she will send your wife away. Who loses? You. So after the prophet lost Khadija, she moved away from Sauda, who was not his first love, who was a middle-aged woman, who was older probably, because he married a third wife, who now happened to be second wife. Now let's take the idiosyncrasies of a middle-aged man. He will not detach from his first love, but he may be a slave to the second marriage. Whether he is married to a virgin, a widow, or a divorcee, he has the tendency to be a slave to the second wife. That is why Sauda smartly offered her rights and days to Aisha so that the Islam will enjoy Aisha and leave her alone. If you don't have the value that Sauda saw in her husband, you will not get that kind of offer. No woman will offer her rights. There will be tension. But what happens when Hafsa, Zainab, and other people joined Aisha? It was only Hafsa that she could not rival because Hafsa had experience. Hafsa was also the daughter of Umar bin Khattab, so they became friends in mischief. Then this is what happens. A new wife becomes a friend of the first. In this case, there was no first wife. So a new wife became a friend of Hafsa because there was another wife that Aisha never liked. So she chose Hafsa to conspire against Sophia. Sophia, the Jewess, according to Aisha, radiallahu anha. When Zainab came in, Aisha also conspired with Hafsa against Zainab. And Aisha never stopped being jealous of Khadija that she never met. So let's see how she got to know that there was no woman like Khadija. Just as ordinarily, there will be no woman like first wife. For a while, the husband will go mad. He will go crazy. For some time, he may be sulking away. He may be deceiving himself. that he has married a second wife and so on and so forth, and that he has the right to so do, and no woman should disturb her. He is enjoying her right, and so on and so forth. But it is just self-deceit. It does not make her enjoy what we are talking about. It does not make her enjoy the second wife. He will only do so for a while. He may even harass the first wife. He will come out. Let's get an example from the Prophet. Aisha saw the Prophet standing up to do Fatima, and one friend of Khadija, radiallahu anha, and she couldn't swallow it. She had to say, "Yeah, Mr. Man, you seem to like this old widow." The Prophet asked her, "Who is this old widow?" She said, "Khadija." She learned that she was twice widowed and she was an old woman. Why are you respecting her so much and she's dead? And the Prophet Islam said, when your people rejected me, she accepted me. When I needed love, I found love in her. I found comfort. She gave me her wealth, gave me her love, gave me succor, gave me comfort, and gave me 6 children. And the conversation ended. So you can see how middle-aged women mother and baby their husband. They will never see him as an old man. They will ever see their husbands as their baby. Like I said, some of them will stop calling their husband by name at that point. Many of them will start calling their husband by their father's, by their children's name. So some of them will simply turn their husband into daddy. And some of them who are loquacious will, still call their husbands, if they're romantic, still call their husbands baby. So we find this relationship. Now, let's go to another story. The story of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Aisha, Maria the Cup, Hafsa, and Zainab, 4 wives of the Prophet. It's just a summary. We have gone through it before, but we want to look at communication and how Allah intervened. The Prophet is now a middle-aged man, middle 50, going to 60. Here we are. He married Zainab by the will of Allah. Allah contracted the marriage. Allah showed him Aisha several times. So he confronted the father and told him, yes, we have betrothed Aisha, but Allah asked me to marry her. He married Hafsa without any explanation that I know. But Maria the Copt was a gift from Egypt. One day it was said that Hafsa went to her people, and the Prophet took Maria the Copt to Hafsa's room. And somebody, probably Aisha, sent for Hafsa to come and catch them. And Hafsa caught the Prophet with Maria the Copt in her own room. The Prophet was made to vow never to have anything to do with Maria the Copt. This is oppression. This is turning halal to haram. You are making a vow never to touch another woman because a woman said so. 2, or the Prophet Islam visited Zainab and took honey. Aisha radiallahu anha went to Hafsa, went to Sophia, our enemy, to tell them that whenever the Prophet got to them, they should tell the Prophet that his mouth was smelling. The prophet said, I took honey. She asked them to ask the prophet what did he take. She knew that the prophet was going to tell them that he took honey. I need all of them to say that it was not honey, it was mugafa. And prophet vowed to everybody that he will not take honey again in the house of Zainab. This is oppression. Wives made the prophet to oppress another wife. Allah now addressed the two of them. He said they should not tell anybody. What made the first story more credible was that Allah addresses two wives without mentioning their names, meaning that it was Hafsa and Aisha with respect to Maria the Copt. The prophet told one of them never to disclose what happened, but she told the other. Hafsa told Aisha, and the two of them made fun of the prophet. Allah intervened. Allah, carpeted the prophet, scolded him for seeking the pleasure of his wives, to oppress other wives. You cannot say this is a mistake. You can say this is a program. For those of us who will misbehave at this point, who will have preferred wives and oppress other wives because of our preferred wives. Allah intervened. Allah asked them to do tawbah. Allah threatened them with divorce. Allah told them that Allah, his angels, Jibril, and the believers will support the prophet if they conspired against him, if they strategized against him. What are we talking about? A man is a very weak and vulnerable person at middle age. Look at the women that were putting him into trouble. They were daughters of his friends. Hafsa was reportedly slightly older than Aisha, who was a teenager. Aisha was not even 20 when the prophet died at 63. And they were able to deal with the prophet this way. So a middle-aged man is then vulnerable, is empty, is not really heavy, is light-weighted. But the middle-aged woman is heavy. She has perfected her ESP. If she's an extraordinary woman, she has become conscious of her witchcraft. If she's not extraordinary, she has upgraded her ESP. She now has spiritual power. She's now more devoted. She's now more prayerful. And whatever the man thinks, Allah will always come to her aid. You can see the way Allah came to the aid of Maria the Copt. You can call her ordinary slave. She had a baby for the prophet, even if the baby died. But these two women that were conspiring against her had no babies. They were never pregnant for one day. Yet the prophet was emotionally attached to these women. We were always putting him into trouble. This is the way a middle-aged man is. Very, very empty, very proud, very arrogant, very boastful, frustrated person. He's carrying his frustration about. How does he communicate? He comes down on his wife. Why? Like I said before, he's getting respect, attention, seduction outside. So on a daily basis, he sees his wife less important, less beautiful. Of course, the middle-aged woman going to 50, 60 will start losing some of her charging points in beauty, certainly. But the beauty of her virtues, her calmness, her spiritual endowment overrides the freshness of the virgin. But the devil will not let the husband see this. So he comes down once in a while to arrogantly address his wife. Between this 40 and 60, the man is terrible. Yeah, he may come down at 60, but then he can do anything. He can do anything before 60. And I didn't say he will. I said he may. Many men don't come down at 60. What they fail to enjoy at 40 to 50, they now want to enjoy after 60. The polygamy, for example, that they were not able to do, they wait until 60. They want to do it. And sometimes they fail. They fail because at this point, there is no strength in you, there's no capacity, there is no, that you don't have the power to deal with a woman. The woman has captured you. And one other fact that we must know is that a woman doesn't have to be 40 to enter middle age. As long as she marries a middle-aged man, she's already in middle age. That is the way Allah wired them. That is why it was possible for these young women to deal with the Prophet the way they dealt with him. And Allah came to the aid of the vulnerable one. Allah carpeted Aisha and Hafsa. Now, let's see the way the Prophet was communicating with his beloved Aisha. And after saying this, I will stop so that we can make deductions from the session tonight. Next week, inshallah, we will still come back to this and make it interactive. Whatever you don't understand, we will see it when you respond. Scenario number one. Thanking the Prophet about Khadija that she accepted him when your people rejected him, and she gave him 6 children, and the discussion ended. Let us go back to this conversation and deduce how to communicate. In my view, Aisha's communication was the height of provocation. That is what a middle-aged woman does. She provokes because she's now powerful. She's no longer equal with the husband. Before they reach middle age, she was behind the husband. She now came beside him, and now she's in front of him. She plans for him the way she plans for her children. A man does not like this. A man does not like the woman taking over the home. He doesn't like it, but he cannot take over. He cannot take control. He cannot do anything. Yet, he does not want the woman to help him because the woman becomes authoritarian. And the man would think that he's losing control because the man wants to be tyrannical, wants to be authoritative, wants to breathe threats, wants to threaten the woman. Now, if you're not careful, I will divorce you, I will marry. This is the time they threaten Muslim. This is from experience. Now, let's go to the second scenario. The Prophet said, Aisha, I know when you are pleased with me and when you are angry. Aisha said, how do you mean? The Prophet said, when you are angry, you say, by the Lord of Ibrahim. When you are pleased with me, you say, you are by the Lord of Muhammad. And Aisha kept quiet. Scenario number 3. Aisha frowned and reacted to the Prophet sharply. The Prophet got angry and said, has your devil come upon you again? See the way the Prophet approached this issue. Has your devil come upon you again? Something like, oh, I know you are possessed, so your devil don't come again. But how did Aisha, a young woman in middle age, a teenager in middle age, because she was married to a middle-aged man going to 60, she said, did you not say everybody has a devil? How did the Prophet answer? Did he say, are you saying a prophet of Allah has a devil? Yes, truly, your devil has come upon you. I've always known that you are possessed. I will send you back to your parents. He didn't say all this that I'm sure some of us will have said. What did he say? He calmly said, yes, but I've conquered my devil. He's a Muslim. It does not trouble me. What can we deduce from these three scenarios? What can we deduce from the communication of the people in middle age? What do we deduce from the differential in the biological and social middle age of the man and the status, marital status of the woman? The woman is whatever the husband is, no matter the age. The woman is whatever the husband is. If the husband is old, she becomes an old woman. But the woman is not a child when the man is a child. But whatever is graceful, honorable, that the man is, the woman is. We are talking about an average woman. The below average woman can remain a demented person forever. An extraordinary woman can remain good or bad forever. By any means that she entered the middle age, if she was good, she improves on goodness and becomes better by the day. Her communication becomes calm. When you marry a second wife, she does not fight. She accepts the second wife, and the husband becomes sorry. And the husband will not be able to manage the second wife. If she's average, she's not above average, extraordinarily good. If she's just average, she will fight and force the husband to marry third wife. If she is extraordinarily really bad, she is above average, she will make the husband regret it. But sometimes the husband goes mad. When he marries third wife, he crashes. He crashes out of marital bliss, and he regrets it throughout his life. He will never have peace till he dies. So there is no woman that does not react. There is no woman that is not jealous. Now, finally, the middle-aged woman is conscious of the other woman. She's conscious of the other woman, and she's always ready to deal with the other woman. Your mother, your daughter, your sister, your elder sister, younger sister, your neighbor, your colleague at work, and an unknown woman that will be in your life. If you make a girlfriend of her, she will deal with you. If you marry her, she will deal with the two of you. There is no way you can escape, and you can be better than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Your wife cannot be better than Aisha Hafsa. They were women. When she spilled the flour of Sauda, the Prophet simply said, because the Sahaba were there, said, your mother is jealous. No more, no less. Look at a younger wife being jealous of two previous wives, one late, the other alive. Old woman, old enough to be a mother. She was still jealous. She was jealous of Sophia. When the Prophet said, this is Sophia, she said, I can't see Sophia. I can see Jewish. She never accepted her. But when she wanted to conspire, Sophia became her friend. Each time Aisha boasted, how did the Prophet respond? Did he behave like us? We are naturally arrogant, proud, brutish, authoritative, and abrasive at this point. The Prophet was calm. He became a baby. and he came to the level of his wives who were above him, though young enough to be his daughters. I want to stop here, like I said. I want you to dig it out from what I've said. But I want us to start from a consideration for using Google. We have some issues. We wanted to expand this to 300, and we have issues. Can't we use Google? I want to stop here. This session.
We have sorry, sir. We have updated the account. We can get to 500 participants now.
Allahu Akbar. So end of discussion. End of discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. This session that just ended is now on message answer. Yeah, I want to see your digital, and I want to hear your response. I want to challenge the national coordinator that I can't see a platform. I can't see members of the Shura on this platform. I've never seen some people on this platform. If this is indeed Dawa Front program, I wonder why critical stakeholders of the Dawa are not here. I challenge the national coordinator to declare to us, is this a Dawa Front program? Are these people not in need of this program? If it is not Dawa Front program, let us call it another name. If they won't come, let us know why they won't come. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Contributions, questions, clarifications. We have about 20 more minutes.
I guess the national coordinator is on this platform.
Yes, sir.
I'm here, sir. Inshallah. I
Yeah.
will go and address it at home and come back to you, inshallah. Because some of us are here, like Alaji Qasim Alabi is always on. I'm always there. But people like Afagwa, I think the engineer Babala
Razak Adedayo is always there.
Akin Wumi, you come sometimes and leave. Afagba is always a network issue in his palace over there. So, but others will discuss with them and come back. I know Engineer Adegbitetu is always there, inshallah.
Okay.
So we'll discuss it and come back to you, inshallah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I welcome Ustaz Modu Fashoba. Yeah, what do you want to say? What do you want to remove from it? What do you want to subtract? What do you want to add? We still have 20 minutes. Raise your hand and talk. Or I ask the national coordinator to close this session.
There's a postal on the chart. Somebody say, is it a trial from Allah? Middle age syndrome.
Is it? No, it's not. It is a stage in the process of growth. Allah says, "Latarkabunna tabaqa and tabaq." You will move from one stage to another. It's basically biological. It is also socio-economic. If you are a chief executive at 25, your responsibilities will naturally make you enter middle age. People will serve you. You feel you are on top of the world. You'll be solving other people's problems. So you will start thinking less of the importance of your wife. It's natural. If you're 40, whether you like it or not, all the attributes of that age will make you naughty, arrogant. If you have constraints till you reach 60, the rascality will come by 60. So it's not because you are bad or something. It is not trial as in a bad thing. But it's a trial because it is daraja. How do you manage it? Do you keep away from your wife at that point? Do you oppress your wife at that point? Do you keep quiet, not talking to the wife at that point? There is no point that a woman does not need attention and attendance. But the middle-aged man thinks that he needs to pay attention and attend to more important matters than his wife. And it's usually work. He wants to make money. If he doesn't make it by 50, he wants to spend the next 10 years to make it. Whether he makes it or not at 60, he goes AY. It is natural. Nobody is a criminal. When you start seeing a 60-year-old person going crazy, running after women at that point, it is not a crime. It is not a sin. It is just natural. It's just responding. It is not everybody that Allah will give the grace to stay on a particular lane. Even those who think they are good, they can manage. No, it may be due to certain constraints. It may not be because they are good. And nobody is bad. Everybody is just a rascal in a way. It doesn't really matter. I mean, our own may be mistakes, but the Prophet's own is a program to teach us how to manage this situation. Nobody will marry a second wife at old age and will not mismanage it. You will mess yourself up. Then you see that you devote yourself to old wife and neglect new ones, or devote yourself to new one and neglect old one. It's quite natural. The Prophet neglected Sauda, the old wife, and Sauda did not fight. That is the way a middle-aged woman with reasonable ESP, extrasensory perception, manages her life. Khadija used her extrasensory perception to capture the Prophet, marry him at the age of 25. 15 years gap didn't matter. She was already a middle-aged woman by all standards. So she captured her love and devoted her life to him, to make him never to forget him. That is what a middle-aged woman does. So that whatever you go out to do, if you are a righteous man, you eventually come back. You will eventually come back to your old love. It is adventurous. You think that you need to get this adventure. Wallahu ta'ala alam. So, Abibat, we have the recorded version in Message and Sound. It will be distributed. If you belong to any of our platforms, you get it, inshallah. Okay. Jazakumullah khair. Nobody is raising hand. Can we close it? Razak Adidayo. Al-Hajj Abdul-Razak Adidayo, Postmaster General, inshallah.
Yeah, I want to sincerely thank you for for the scenario we learned today. I think for student of history is a reminder for those of us who read Islamic history. However, sir, it is obvious that brothers Islam endure to the last the antics and the tricks of women. In spite of the fact that he is a prophet of Allah, you will see area where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intervene directly to warn the women and to serve as example for those of our generation. However, moving forward, we seem not to learn from experience from the past history of what we have read. And today you see us misbehaving the way we do things. If you look at it critically, at the end of the day, if a man live long with a woman, one or two of them, even if it's just one, it is feasible that unless Allah give that man a good health, there's no way that person can compete favorably with his wife. But at that stage, the woman is very active, moving from one child to another, taking care of the grandchildren. Unless the man has invested in the past, it will be difficult for a woman to stay with the man because we see that responsibility more as our own, that of the man. And we even see where people add 1, 2, 3. Yet, each of the women take care of their grandchildren, and the man still left alone. I used to have an example. We took Ahmad for an orthopedic in at Sidot one day. We met an old man. That's when I asked him, Mama, why are you the only wife? Are you the only wife? I said, no, she's not the only wife. Everybody has gone. The man has, no. He has gone bad. The health has deteriorated so much that he's kept there. It's the woman that comes to take care of his feces and urine and what have you, cleaning up. So at the end of the day, it is we that no matter what you do, except we will pray that Allah give us that one that will stay with us overnight or in our old age. It's natural for them to want to take care of their grandchildren the way they take care of their own children. Even though some they didn't see it as negative on the part of their man. They thought they are still serving humanity. That you are an adult. My son is wife just giving birth. My daughter is just giving birth and he has no mother-in-law. I have to be there. So they will justify that position. However, we are left alone. Only very few will go and come back on time or make an arrangement somehow that you will still feel that vacuum that she's going to create. She want to feel it somehow. So all these things that we have read from history. I was reading today, somebody said a woman is like a water. Water has its purpose positively. But if you drink water too much, you are going to have issue. If you drink less, you are going to have issue. So we have to be moderate in the way we relate. But I used to say, sir, Allah is with the prophet. We need more prayers for us to skate through and get the World Cup or the cup of the hereafter that, man, you have done well. Before you have been praised for holding the woman and the children together as a man, is hard work. And that's why I tell people even this, I said, marriage is an ibadah, like salat, like hajj, like fasting. And you need to invest in it, you need to pray for it, for Allah to accept it as an ibadah from you and endure all the trouble that is there. May Allah give us the grace. Somebody call me, sir.
Alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan for this insight. May Allah reward you. Barrister Fatah Bakri.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
We thank you for the presentation, sir. And we beseech Allah to give us the understanding and the knowledge to implement the knowledge you have passed on to us. This issue of middle age syndrome and the issue of marrying other wives, everything you have said is actually correct, particularly as it relates to the man. Whether you marry a virgin or you marry a widow or you marry a divorcee as a second wife, it's like a young boy having a toy, a new toy. It will shock him. And there is that tendency to concentrate on the new wife. But if the wife, the first wife at home, does not exercise patience, she is likely to send herself out of the home. He had cause to counsel someone as well. And the husband took a second wife and she was naturally agitated. I just told her to keep her peace, that the man will get shagged for some time and eventually he will calm down. And that is how it turned out to be. He eventually calmed down and came back home. Alhamdulillah, that home is still very strong now. And I think if the second wife is not strong enough, is not also able to exercise some patience and accommodation, she will also invariably walk out of the marriage. Because what he had expected is not what she got eventually. She had expected that the man would shift focus and concentrate on her. So for me, I think it's the women that manipulates the men with their extrasensory perception that you have mentioned. They're able to manipulate one another, to intimidate one another. As you have mentioned, it was Aisha intimidating the other co-wives with all the steps she had taken. If not that Allah intervened in the prophet's case, but who do we have to intervene in our own case? So we don't have anybody to intervene in our own case or to give us necessary direction. But the bottom line,
you have your Imam who will carry all the burden. You will be enjoying it. You will not sleep.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But for us as men, we need to maintain some balance. We should not be carried away with the new wife whenever we have one. Then for the wives that are already at home, they also need to exercise some patience and tolerance and accommodation. They should realize that at that point in time, we get carried away. But I tell you, give the man some time, he will come back to his senses. But if you don't give him that time, if you don't tolerate him with all these new nuances that he had brought on board and he is now exhibiting, the entire household will crash. So this is what I think each and every one of us should take away from your presentation this evening, sir. We will continue to have this issue. It will continue to crop up from time to time, but both parties need to exercise some patience, tolerance, accommodation. As my brother Brazak had said, we should see it as an act of worship, that Allah will reward us for the way we handle it and the way we are responding to it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, is next week not supposed to be our interactive session? Engineer Do? When are we to just talk, no lecture, just response?
Well, it depends on the agreement of the entire house. We had a break last week, So I think we need to be rejigged before. That is my personal feeling, though. Let us rejig for 2-3 weeks before we start a general interaction. But if the whole house feel we can interact tomorrow and next week, no problem about that. I think we have had a break of a week. Let us rejig and refuel to have enough stamina to interact. Because tonight now nobody is talking. Is either people are going to recess or I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah, let's focus on managing old age. And we will have 3 lectures on it, 3 sessions on it. Managing children-in-law, daughter or son-in-law. Managing, grandparenting, and then old age syndrome. So we start with managing children-in-law next week. Do you agree? Agree?
Okay, sir.
Approved?
Approved.
Okay. Dr. Sikiru Abiodun Abdulganiyu, give us close.
Labaika.
Is
Is that a new name?
Go and learn Arabic. Go and learn Arabic, sir. We thank Allah for this opportunity again to be revived and be refreshed with new knowledge, personal to continue to strengthen the Imam and increase him in useful knowledge. May Allah also make us all that we have had, make it an evidence for us and not against us, both in this world and the hereafter. اللهم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا لا ندرك عذاب النار. ربنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. سبحان ربك يصفون
سلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.